So today we're going to talk about water stones. There are at least two different kinds of stones that you can purchase to sharpen steel tools with. There's water stones, which are usually going to be some kind of ceramic or composite materials, and the really expensive ones are actually made out of stone, proper stone quarried in. Japan makes beautiful stones, very expensive stones. And then the other kind are oil stones. So there's water stones and oil stones. Oil stones use an oil lubricant. And I have an example here. This is actually a jig sharpening kit, and it uses oil stones. The stones look pretty much exactly the same as water stones, but they're just made of a different material. And they are used mostly for tools, because tools are made with a high carbon tool steel. And this is not a stainless steel, there's no nickel or chromium in there, so they rust, which is why you would want to use an oil instead of a water, because water encourages rust. Most culinary tools, such as knives, are made of some stainless steel component, which obviously don't rust, therefore a water stone is fine. And when you're cutting food, you don't really want to have any kind of petroleum-based product on your knife that's going to get in your food. So what we have here are combination water stones. What that means is it's a combination of grit sizes. You can see this is a 4,000, 10,000. And that just means that you can match up the grit size with the dullness of your knife. If you have a very coarse grit stone like this one, which is a 400, it wears away the steel more rapidly. So if you have a dull knife, you start out with this and then you work your way finer and finer. This is a finishing stone, 4,000, 10,000. That's very fine for a very fine, sharp finish. You use the grit sizes to enable you to sharpen as rapidly as possible and get the nicest finish possible. In accompaniment to the water stones, you also want a truing stone, which is in one of my other videos. It just looks like this. And it's made of a slightly harder compound than the whetstones, and it flattens the surface. With all of these things having something like this, which is just, it's a support for the whetstone to sit on. Instead of using a wet rag like I usually do, you can use this. It's only about $25. It sits on rubber base, it's got threaded rods, and it holds the stone firmly in place and firmly on the countertop. Then you also want some water, lubricant. This is a little squeezy bottle, but you can use a cup. You can do this in the sink on a sink bridge. Anything like that would do.